fight. My mom got scared and moved your auntie and Uncle Bel-Air. Dun, dun, dun. Hi you guys, it is your favorite pretty girl peeps. I am here to do another review style video on a new show that just came out. It is the highly anticipated reboot of the popular show The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. The new show is actually called simply Bel-Air. So the new show is actually a reboot that is more dramatic, a little bit more dark than the light, fluffy, comedic, real laugh track that we are used to from Will Smith in the game. So there's been a lot of mixed reviews. There's been great reviews. There's been all different kind of things. So first off, it aired Super Bowl weekend. So a lot of people are just now catching up to watching it because everybody mostly was watching the Super Bowl and Super Bowl halftime, things like that. So it is streaming on the new platform Peacock. The first episode is free, but then if you want to watch episodes 2 and 3, and I think episode 4 comes out today actually, you have to actually do the subscription. So I kind of want this to be a review but not a spoiler, but if you haven't watched the show, hopefully this makes you want to watch the show, but hopefully it still doesn't spoil it for you. So to kind of say a lot without saying a lot, I think I'm more so going to delve into the characters versus the topics, so I don't necessarily give the show away. One big tip, if you want to really enjoy the show, you have to let go of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, in the sense that you can't go into this thinking it's going to be the same thing. The characters are the same, but a lot of the topics and things are similar yet reimagined, if that makes sense. So you're going to see a lot of like gems, or what people call Easter eggs, to where like they relate things back to things that were on the original Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Like for instance, Jeffrey and Phil shooting pool. I know you guys remember the famous Lucille episode, like things like that. Or Will's best friend on Bel-Air is Trey, and Will's best friend who came to visit him on the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, his name is Trey. However, like I said, I think this particular reboot goes a little bit deeper into character development and character explanation than I feel like the show did. It tackles some similar topics, but it just, like I said, it just reimagines and revitalizes everything in a more dramatic modern day sense. And I think it also kind of shows more of the dramatics and the racism and discriminations that we face, which I think the original Fresh Prince did a really good job at as well. I think this is just more in your face, and maybe it's just because it is a drama versus a comedy. So kind of to delve into the characters, Will Smith, he executive produced this along with Benny Modena, I believe his name is, and he produced the first Prince of Bel-Air. And I want to say that's Mariah Carey's ex-husband. Don't quote me on that. But anyway, so of course you have the main character, who's Will, still out of Philly. Let me just say, without giving away too much, the music on Fresh Prince was good, but I feel like I really love like how it's like a soundtracky type of music, and how they like really represented Philly like in a big way. I don't know why we talk about Philly like I've been there, but like I love Meek Mill and I love like a lot of Philly artists, you know, Freeway, stuff like that. And he was actually on the show, so I thought that was pretty cool. So yeah, the Will Smith character is a little bit darker, and I kind of like that. Like he's more stand up for himself. He's more, I'm gonna tell you how it is. And I really love that they gave him more background, more backstory as far as the Philadelphia situation. You know, him being an honor roll student, but still living in the hood, still having his basketball scholarship, but getting in one little fight. My mom got scared and moved your auntie and Uncle Bel-Air. So I really like that the show really gave some backdrop. I feel like it gives the show a little bit of depth. So when he arrived to Bel-Air, I think, you know, the character Jazz is chef's kiss. They picked the perfect guy to play Jazz. They really haven't developed his character too much yet, and I really can't wait to see where that goes. But like from his style, his swag, the way he talks, I think they picked the perfect guy for Jazz. I think Will's character takes a little bit of time to kind of develop to me. But I think that's because there's going to be more layers to that character eventually, because he's the main character, if that makes sense. Who else? So then there's Jeffrey. I feel like this Jeffrey character is all the way reimagined, because the original Jeffrey is just the butler. He waits hand and foot on the family, And I think on this show, he's more like a project manager, property manager, confidant to Phil type of character. So I thought that was really interesting. You know, he seems more upscale, more in the know, you know, more like a family member versus like a staff member, which I feel like he was on The Fresh Prince. So I think that's one really big difference with the show Bel-Air. Then, of course, next you have Aunt Viv. Now, the lady who's playing Aunt Viv is just gorgeous. Like, that's one thing let me say that about this show. The black people on this show is beautiful. The black is beautiful. And I love it. I'm here for it. You know, it's just, and it pops out the way they film. The black skin just pops out to you. So that's another dope little addition to the show. But yeah, the Aunt Viv sounds just like the original Aunt Viv, which is crazy to me. I don't know if that's how she talks or if that's what she's doing for the role. But either way, homegirl is doing her thing. And again, I like how it's more modern. She's a little bit young. She's flowy. She's rich. She's black. And I will say I like how Bel-Air kind of, I think, touches more on her as a mom and a wife, not following her dreams to help Philip follow his dreams. I think that was like slightly touched on when she went back to try to pursue dance in The Fresh Prince. But I like how they're like full-blown tackling it in Bel-Air. And speaking of that, I think that kind of creates a mother-daughter tension between her and Hillary that I think was undertoned in The Fresh Prince, and I think is really brought to the forefront in the Bel-Air series. And speaking of Hillary, a lot of people complained about this new Hillary character because they're like, she's not ditzy, she's not dumb, she's not this, and this. I personally love the new Hillary. Like, I think you can be a luxury black girl, a high-end black girl, and a valley girl, and showcase it in other ways and still showcase your smarts. I think this new one just has a lot of talents and things, and she, you know, just wants to explore that path and still use her parents' money, you know. Like, she's smarter, she's an influencer, which is a new thing, you know. I feel like back then, if we're real about it, Hillary probably would have been an influencer too, you know. She just was a reporter. And even though reporters are still around, I feel like that's not that type of career, you know, anymore, to where you could just get on and be a weather girl, you know. Like, you have to put in teeth to be like a reporter now. And I think they're kind of showcasing that Hillary is doing that, but she's doing it in another way. And she's more willing to stand up for herself and say, hey, this isn't what I want. This isn't what I want to do. Even if it's going to make my mom and dad upset with me, I'm going to live my life. You know, she's cooking. Versus the other Hillary barely even cooked. Even though if you remember, in I think it was the first season, Hillary did a catering job to like pay off one of her cars or something like that. So I like the way they tied that in. And then I just like how stylish she is and how like on point she is. And I just really think she's a girl's girl at the same time. So I really particularly like that. I'm kind of trying to remember the first episode and how they're introducing the characters. So then there is Carlton. Carlton is, I feel like in The Fresh Prince, he's corny, you know, but you still love Carlton. This new Carlton is a villain. You're going to hate this Carlton. But I feel like the guy is playing the role so well that it really makes you feel like there's got to be something under the surface that's going to make you like him. But this Carlton has layers. He has, you know, problems. He has issues. He's ready to fight. He's very whitewashed. Even though I feel like the other Carlton was whitewashed too, this Carlton is even more whitewashed than the other Carlton was. Because like in The Fresh Prince, there's an episode where Will and Carlton were going to pledge in college. And the guy didn't feel like Carlton was black enough. And I feel like Carlton really stood up for himself. This Carlton, I can't see standing up for himself in that particular, you know, way. Like, this Carlton is still a brown noser and wants to get ahead. You know, like, I don't want to give things away, but there's a scene where he's like trying to get this internship based on who he is. And I feel like that's something definitely the old Carlton would have did. But this Carlton gonna piss y'all off. Speaking of Carlton, the new Lisa. So Lisa didn't come on The Fresh Prince until like college. However, they brought her in a little earlier, maybe just so they have more characters and more characters to develop. I love that she just looks like a natural around the way girl. She's curvy. She's rocking her natural hair. She's there on scholarship. I really want to see where they're going to develop her character too. Did I miss anybody? Oh yeah, one of the most important characters, Uncle Phil. So this Uncle Phil to me is a little bit meaner than the other Uncle Phil was. And I think he cares about his image a lot more. Even though, don't get me wrong, the other Uncle Phil cared too. This Uncle Phil cares in another way, but I think throughout his character development, you're going to be able to see where he wants to go back to his roots. And he's concerned about whether or not he has strayed too far away from his roots. But he loves this money. He loves politics. He loves the game. I also like how they tie in their backgrounds a little bit more. Like you kind of find out a little bit more about Uncle Phil and him being on the farm, him being a member of a Greek organization, and then also Vivian being a member of a Greek organization. Let me go back to Hillary, though, because she's fine, too. I thought that should be brought up. So she's fine. Just fine. For no reason, fine. But yeah, I think it's a really good show. And I think, again, you have to, if you're going to enjoy it, you have to let go of what you knew the Fresh Prince as and reimagine it as Bel-Air. You know, he still plays basketball. He still does a lot of the same things. But I think, you know, it's a new age. And, you know, we love the sitcom. There's things that they were dealing with on that show that kids today can't understand. But then there's things on Bel-Air like, you know, the drugs, the parties, racism, you know, white men feeling like they can say the N-word. Things like that are more on this show that can relate more to, I feel like, the generation, what is it, Z and the generation Alpha. They'll be able to understand a little bit more. Whereas, you know, as millennials, we grew up on the Fresh Prince, you know, and then the generation right before us, I think it's Generation X, they grew up on that too. So I overall love the show. I love the vibe that it's giving. I love the platform that it's giving for these new Black actors. You know, love a Black woman from infinity to infinity. Love a Black man from infinity to infinity. I love it, you know. But there are certain ties that I feel like they tie to the original characters and the original storylines that make you still love the show. Like, Will really did get into some trouble in Philadelphia and had to move. That's across the board. You know, Hillary and her mom do get into it about her living in the pool house. Goes against both ways. But there are still so many things to be developed and so many things to be looked after. And I think it's a great show. And I think a great thing is that the family's really behind it and Will Smith is behind it. So another character, and I probably forgot about her because they really haven't developed her yet on the show, is Ashley Banks. The little girl that they have playing her, she's so adorable. Right now, they really haven't given her character any depth. She's only had maybe like 4 lines. So I'm assuming as the season progresses on, they'll develop more into her becoming a teenager. Right now, she's 12. So they'll probably kind of go more into that. You know, her and Will had a really strong relationship on the show. So I'm really hoping that they delve into that and really showcase that relationship. And then with Phil, you know, running for politics and the whole family running for politics. So it's going to continue to grow, continue to be interesting. And I definitely think you should check it out. But check it out with new eyes. Like, keep in the back of your mind, like, some of the things that happen in the Fresh Prince. Because those gems do get dropped. But at the same time, open your mind to something new. And I really think you'll enjoy the Peacock's new show, Bel-Air. So at least, like I said, watch the first episode. It's free, so you have nothing to lose. And I think that first episode will definitely get you hooked enough to where you want to see the other episodes that they have. This new thing that they do on a lot of streaming channels is they only upload, you know, like 1 or 2 episodes at a time. But like I said, definitely check it out. Come back, let me know what you think. But yeah, I definitely say check it out. Once again, this is, and again, I didn't want to share too many storylines because I know the show is still so fresh, and I don't want people to like feel like, hey, you came on the internet spoiling this show. I didn't want people to feel like that. I just wanted to kind of give my initial thoughts, initial ideas. Like I said, I like it. I like the characters. I like the character development. And I like that it's different from the Fresh Prince. That it's a little bit darker. It's a little bit more dramatic. It's set more so for, you know, the new age. Like, I've seen a lot of people compare it to like an All-American. And I can see that. And I think it's more so because, you know, it's these teens that kind of have older adult type of problems. But I think this is different than All-American. And All-American has a new show coming out to Homecoming, so I'll definitely probably do a review on that as well. But anywho, it is your favorite pretty girl peeps. And I hope you guys check out Bel-Air. And I hope you guys like, subscribe, share, all that. Comment below. And yeah, it is your favorite pretty girl peeps. Check it out.